Councilor Ryan has assumed the chair.
Thank you.
For your indulgence.
Thank you, Councilor O'Keefe. Sorry I'm late. I was at a wake. All right. All right, so what page were you just on?
Page 5, bottom.
All right, so you just passed, did you do that
This
one?
one? No.
All right, further communications from the mayor?
We have an order that upon payment of unpaid parking fines and the donation of 2 non-perishable items or canned goods to be donated to a local food pantry, the collector shall waive from December 1st, 2013 to December 24th, 2013, up to $30 in late fees added to unpaid parking fines.
Councilor Creevy,
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for adoption.
on discussion?
Every year, Mr. President, probably for the last few years, I know the mayor has put this program forward, and it's something that the council has adopted. The P's for Fees program, where it's kind of a grace period that people are given. So if they have these unpaid tickets, they can come in and actually resolve them without paying all the fines and associated fees that are with that. If they give the 2 cans, and obviously the donation goes to one of the local charitable groups. And I think it's good. It's been successful in the past, and it's good to try to get these unpaid tickets off our rolls as well and get people kind of in compliance with this. So we certainly want to make sure that people have an opportunity to do that, and at the same time have a local charity benefit from this activity as well. It's been a wonderful program the city's engaged in, and I hope it continues for many years to come. So I would certainly urge my colleagues to adopt it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Creevy. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Mayor's informational page? None. Motions, orders, and resolutions? Councilor Sosnowski?
Thank you, Mr. President. City of Salem and City Council, in the year 2013, an ordinance to amend an ordinance relative to traffic obedience to isolated stop signs. Be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Salem as follows. Section 1, Chapter 42, Section 49. Obedience to an isolated stop sign is hereby amended by adding the following. Pleasant Street. Southerly bound traffic on Pleasant Street stop at Washington Square stop sign. Section 2, this ordinance shall take effect as provided by city charter.
On discussion?
Thank you, Mr. President. Yes, this is a particular place where a lot of people like to cut through and try to bypass any traffic that might be on Winter Street, in a particular effort to try to avoid that. Typically, it's southbound traffic on Bridge takes a left on Pleasant Street and speeds down Pleasant Street, actually speeding right through the Common, sometimes taking a right at the Common at Washington Square, sometimes going straight on down until they try to get to Essex Street. Either way, the particular intersection is a very hazardous area. In talking with Lieutenant Przewski, we think that the best way to address this is to put a stop sign there. Right? A lot of people have asked for this, and I think it's long overdue, Mr. President. So this is what is before us this evening.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion?
So I move for adoption for first passage.
Any further discussion on Councilor Sosnowski's recommendation? All those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Further motions, orders, and resolutions? Oh, hold on. Councilor
Never mind.
O'Keefe?
No, I'll wait.
Councilor
City Clerk
Sosnowski.
suggests I wait. Go ahead.
Councilor Sosnowski.
Thank you, Mr. President. City of Salem, in the year 2013, an ordinance to amend an ordinance relative to traffic parking prohibited tow zone resident sticker. Be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Salem as follows. Section 1, Chapter 42, Section 75, parking prohibited tow zone resident sticker is hereby amended by adding the following. Pratt Street, P-R-A-T-T Street. Residents to be included in Zone D, color yellow, resident sticker parking program, and to be allowed to park in the resident sticker lot located on Pratt Street, the resident sticker parking tow zone. This section shall take effect as provided by city charter.
The discussion?
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, we had members of the Greater Endicott Street Neighborhood Association, as well as individual residents themselves, call us about this. We had a meeting where the mayor attended, Councilor Siegel attended, Councilor Go attended, the mayor, and I think Dominic and Christian, everybody attended. And the end result of what we're trying to do here to resolve some of the difficulties they're having in this very dense area here is to create a situation where we can add Pratt Street to the resident sticker parking list, and that will, in the hope that it might help relieve some of the tensions in that area. So that's what we're trying to do with this one. Thank you. And I move for adoption for first pass.
Okay. Any further discussion? None being, all those in favor, opposed, so moved. Further motions, orders, and resolutions. Counselor Sosnowski.
Thank you, Mr. President. City of Salem, in the year 2013, an ordinance to amend an ordinance relative to traffic, parking prohibited, tow zone, resident sticker. Be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Salem as follows. Section 1, Chapter 42, Section 75, parking prohibited, tow zone, resident sticker is hereby amended by adding the following. Summer Street. All Summer Street residents to be included in Zone D, color yellow. Resident sticker parking, all of Summer Street residents to be able to obtain resident parking stickers, resident sticker parking tow zone. This ordinance shall take effect as provided by city charter.
Discussion.
Again, this is one of these situations where after a conversation with Lieutenant Brzezinski, we're trying to counter the effects of providing parking for the residents that live in these areas while the garage has been shut down, and the garage is causing the commuters, local workers, and everybody to migrate into the various residential neighborhoods, and Summer Street is not immune to that. Toward that end, the lieutenant thought that this would be a good solution to that. Actually, I introduced the idea, the lieutenant agreed with it, and we're putting it forward. So I move for adoption for first passage, Mr. President.
Okay. Counselor Sargent.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would ask that this go in committee. I mean, because I know maybe down by Gedney Street this affects Summer Street, but down by the Prescott Street area, there's no issue whatsoever. This is for the whole street. And once that happens, people that live around the corner on the little side streets, if they just park around the corner, they would be ticketed. And there's usually got to be some kind of outside force that causes the residents to stick a parking. I know if it's train station people, but I thought when we took away the parking pass program on Gedney Street, we freed up 10 spaces down there. And I still see a lot of them empty. I go by and check that a lot to see how the results of what we did over there. And that section of Gedney Street along the old Holyoke Insurance still has some empty spaces. So people would park there before they would get on Summer Street. So if anything, this would go from Endicott Street down towards downtown. But from Endicott Street down towards Margin Street, I know there's no issue with that. It's just residents parking as they go, first come, first served. There's no outside force there. If the train station, the college, or something like that was around, I can understand. But it cannot be put into place just to keep one neighbor from parking in front of another neighbor's house. It just becomes a wash in that circumstance. And I've been to meetings about this a few years ago, and they didn't want it at the Summer and Prescott Street area because of that. So I'd like to at least have that go into committee, and it may end up on one end of Summer Street, but not all the way down to Margin Street, please. Thank you.
Counselor Sosnowski.
Actually, quite honestly, I am surprised it did include all of Summer Street, because the original request, as Councilor Sargent has alluded to, we were not intending to go past that area. We were thinking of going essentially from where Summer Street starts, coming down, and I think we were going to end at
Mount Vernon is
Gedney Street. Gedney Street, where we're going to end at Gedney, because there was a section there, as you rightly said, that is unused, goes unoccupied because you couldn't get there, and most of the residents that can't find parking wanted to park there, but because of the status, they couldn't. That was supposed to have been that way. Why this included all of Summer Street, I don't know, but that being said, let me ask this question, and maybe someone here, the veteran councilors may know the answer. Normally, by protocol, we're required to get the lieutenant's approval on any recommendation for a traffic ordinance change. That being said, can we approve this and modify it? Because we're not adding to it, we're taking away from it. Because it is time sensitive, this being October. All right, that being said, can we take that and shorten it to a part of it?
Well,
I would ask the legalities of that.
could I just respond to that quickly?
Councilor Sargent.
Because the neighborhood right now is posted orange signs, residents sticker parking only temporarily for Halloween. So that's, it's already taken care of in October. The whole neighborhood's already posted.
But some areas that don't have resident sticker parking in them aren't eligible to park there unless they have
No.
a sticker. And if they're not in the sticker list, they can't get that little orange sticker.
It's any place where it's on the sign, you're eligible to get it. Please, I can explain it to you, but it's already been taken care of for the month of October. It has been for last year, the year before that. I know this.
Okay.
And I think the other thing is that we went through this on English Street once. We got resident sticker parking for the street, and then later on, half the street came in and said, we didn't know about it, we don't want it. We had to take it off. I know that half of the street doesn't know about this. We cannot put it, it's supposed to be unanimous for the section that's involved, and I know it's not unanimous. So,
I
thank
totally
you.
agree with that, because
Yeah.
this was not intended to be all of Summer Street. That was never the intent, but
So do you want to
That's
send
what-
it in the ordinances, license, legal affairs?
I think that would be the proper proper course of action at this time, Mr. President. Yes, I think that would be the absolute proper course at this point. And then maybe what I can do at some point and possibly get some of these people that live on Summer Street those orange passes. Hopefully, we can get them to get through at least the rest of this month, because some of them don't have the ability to collect those passes. Right? And we would go from there. Thank you. So, yes, I would take the recommendation this be referred to committee.
Okay, so on Council Sosnowski's recommendation to move it to, oh, Council McCarthy, sorry.
Sorry. Thank you, Mr. President. Briefly, if the good Ward 2 Council's concern is expedience in trying to get this in place, obviously it's an ordinance change, it's going to take 2 passages anyways. He might want to consider passing it first tonight, sending it to committee, and then at the next meeting, he can vote it out with his amended changes, and therefore, then it would be in place for the month of November, if that's what his concern is. But that's just a friendly suggestion.
October is taken care of, posted.
Council Sosnowski.
Actually, I'd rather not do that, because that would require dual posting with any changes. When I think I'm going to take Councilor Sargent's advice. I believe that that's the better course of action in this particular case, and we will put it to committee. But I thank the good councilor from Ward 1. Good suggestion, but I prefer to take this route. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. On the motion to move it into ordinances, license, legal affairs, all those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Further motions, orders, and resolutions? Council Sosnowski.
Spend a lot of time in Lieutenant Pazuski's office.
City of Salem and City Council, October 10, 2012. Excuse me, that's wrong. 2013. Ordered Fowler Street, obedience to isolated stop sign, North Lee Street traffic, Fowler Street stop sign at North Pine Street, stop sign, trial period of up to 60 days.
On discussion?
Yes, this is essentially not moving for adoption because it needs to be an ordinance. It's actually a trial period because we want to try this here first. What we have here is people coming eastbound on Boston Street. When they see the light go red at the intersection of Boston and Essex, they take a quick left down by Fowler, take a right up onto North Pine, and they try to bypass the light. There's a lot of young families in that neighborhood, and we're trying to protect the families that have their kids. And as you know, you have kids yourself, Mr. President. They don't always obey the parents, and they sometimes dart out between cars, and it's a dangerous situation. It's a tiny, tiny, narrow street, and cars are going unbelievably fast. This is an effort to hopefully slow them down and make the area safer. And so we want to try it for a 60-day trial period at this point. So I believe I have to move it for adoption.
For adoption, under discussion, any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Further motions, orders, and resolutions. Council Sosnowski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Let me catch up to you here.
Sorry.
Not a problem. Make sure I have the right one here. City of Salem is in the year 2013, an ordinance to amend an ordinance relative to traffic, general towing zone. Be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Salem as follows. Section 1, Chapter 42, Section 74. General tow zone is hereby amended by adding the following. Pickman Street, southerly side starting at Webb Street and extending in a southwesterly direction for 46 feet. Parking, no parking, tow zone. Section 2, this ordinance shall take effect as provided by city charter, and I move that this be adopted for first passage.
Okay, any discussion?
Under discussion, Mr. President, yes. Actually, this was started by the fire department. The fire department happened to be going down Webb Street with one of their engines, and they tried to turn right onto Pickman Street, and they couldn't because there was a car parked where this ordinance will now prevent a car from being parked, and they weren't able to do that. And so the fire chief, after having found out about this, got a hold of the police department and said, how can we fix this? Because we have a problem here. All right, and this was the solution that the police department and the fire department came up with, and toward that end, I support it, because we can't have unsafe neighborhoods, and that's where we're going with this. We're trying to make the neighborhood safe, and when cars are parked on that corner, I can tell you myself, I only have a pickup truck. I don't have a large fire engine. And I sometimes have a hard time making that turn because of the turning radius of my truck. So if I can't make that turn easily, I'm sure that the fire departments, especially when they're hurrying to a fire, couldn't either. So this is in support of of both of those department safety requests.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Further motions, orders, and resolutions. Council Prevey?
Thank you, Mr. President. City of Salem City Council, October 10, 2013, ordered that the monthly financial report dated July and August 2013 be referred to the Committee on Administration and Finance.
On discussion?
No discussion.
Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Thanks, Councilor O'Keefe.
Chair recognizes Councilor from Ward 4, Jerry L. Ryan. Councilor Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. President. City Council, October 10, 2013, ordered that the regular meetings of the City Council for the month of November and December be held on Thursday, November 14, 2013, and Thursday, December 12, 2013.
All in favor of the acceptance of the report? Opposed? Remarks, Councilor?
That's a motion. Under discussion.
Yes.
On the date for Thursday, December 12th, we wanted to actually change it earlier to the week before, which was December 5th. So if no one has a problem with that, because the finance department needs the time to do all the stuff they need to do to get the bills and everything out. So
Any
December 5th.
remarks? Any help, Councilor? Any remarks? No?
So if no one has a problem with that, we'll have the dates for November will be November 14th, and December will be December 5th. Those are the
Thank you, Councilor.
two meetings.
All in favor? Opposed? So voted. Unanimous.
Thank you.
By hand vote. Come up, Councilor. I'm next. Mr. President.
Further motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor O'Keefe.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have 3 orders tonight for the same streets. So I'd like to explain to the council why and how important this is. There's Sumner Road, which extends from Loring up in like a 30-degree grade out down to Preston. And the numbers start right at Loring. So I'm reading the numbers I'm referring to tonight. The houses are the odd side on the left side going up the steep hill, which is one way coming down at you if you've been that way, particular way. The first one concerns, and these 3 traffic ordinances have been approved by Lieutenant Pazuski, run over and measured the street, and he agrees that there's a problem now with the students at Salem State, especially the commuter students that have the red decals on their cars, on the back windows, parking there, the commuters, not the people that live in the dorms, really the commuters that come for classes during the daytime. City of Salem, in the year 2013, an ordinance relative to general towing zone. Be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Salem as follows. Section 1, Chapter 42, Section 74, General Tow Zone is hereby amended by adding the following. Sumner Road, beginning at Loring on the northerly side in a northwest direction for 204 feet, no parking zone, tow zone. Section 2, this ordinance shall take effect as provided by the City Council. Further explanation. Going up, this takes about 12 cars on the right. There is no houses there, it's just woods and trees that are there. And the neighbors are accepting deliveries of fuel oil and what have you in the wintertime. The trucks cannot come down when there's cars parked on one side of Sumner, going down on the left, and on the other side, which I'll introduce shortly about resident sticker parking. So the neighbors asked that some relief be given to them and a tow zone that the students would be acquainted. There's only about 12, as I say, 12 or 14 student cars that are affected. No residents are affected at all by this. They're going to be on the other side, which is the next order. Respectfully ask for unanimous support by the City Council.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, on Councilor O'Keefe's recommendation, all those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Further motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor O'Keefe.
Number 2, same street, in the year 2013, an ordinance to amend an ordinance relative to traffic obedience to isolated stop signs. Be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Salem as follows. Section 1, Chapter 42, Section 49, obedience to isolated stop sign is hereby amended by adding the following. Sumner Road, southerly bound traffic on Sumner Road at Loring Avenue, stop sign. Section 2, this ordinance shall take effect as provided by the city charter. If you have come down that particular street, Sumner Road, coming towards Loring, there was no stop sign, and frequently it's a 30% incline. It's coming down the hill, and people have to get out in the street to see cars coming southerly to Swampscott. So this would have them please stop as they get to that intersection, and Lieutenant Pazuski recommends this be adopted. Thank you.
Further discussion? All those in favor, opposed, so moved. Further motions, orders, and resolutions, Counselor O'Keefe.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the City Council. Third ordinance deals with resident sticker parking. In the year 2013, an ordinance to amend an ordinance relative to traffic parking prohibited tow zone resident sticker be ordained by the City Council of the City of Salem as follows. Section 1, Chapter 42, Section 75, parking prohibited towing zone resident sticker is hereby amended by adding the following. Zone B, color red, Sumner Road, southerly side in its entirety from Bradley Road to the intersection of Loring Avenue, resident sticker parking only, tow zone. This ordinance shall take effect as provided by the city charter. Mr. President, remarks? There's three houses I explained to you. One, if you've ever been over there, there's one on top of the hill over there that has a road that winds up to the top of this hill. And this woman's coming down, and she can't turn right or left. In the wintertime, she explained to me and the lieutenant, when the cars are parked, even on her side, on the resident sticker park. There's three houses involved, and everybody's in favor of this, and I respectfully recommend the council adopt this resident sticker parking towing ordinance.
Mr. President?
Questions I have?
Counselor?
Check the spelling in
Where I was going.
our thing, just to make sure that it's spelled properly there. We have Summer Street.
Sumner Road.
You have Sumner Road?
Yeah.
Because on here it says
On the
Sumner
actual
Street.
order, do you have Sumner Road?
Sumner Road.
Okay, on the
Okay.
street,
As long as-
On the order itself, right?
All right, good job.
Sumner Road.
No, 'cause we have
Counselor
this.
O'Keefe, is that what it says on your order right there?
I'll change it here. I see it, yep.
It's on the order, though. It's correct on the order.
Yeah.
It's correct on the order?
Okay, that's fine, that's all.
I'll sign it,
That's
all right.
the most important thing.
Thank
All
you.
right, so Sumner Road.
That was
Any
Sumner
further
Road.
discussion?
Sumner Road.
All right, all those in favor, opposed, so moved. Any further motions, orders, and resolutions? Counselor Prevey?
Thank you, Mr. President. City of Salem and City Council, October 10, 2013, ordered that the owner and manager of the 7-Eleven on North Street appear before the Committee on Public Health, Safety, and the Environment to address residential complaints regarding late-night noise, trash, loitering, and other issues. And that we invite the police chief, his representative, building inspector, and area residents.
Okay, under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I had asked, after I received a bunch of complaints from residents on Osborne Street, the city clerk to do some research on the 7-Eleven in terms of their permit, because it's one of the unique businesses in Salem where it can operate 24 hours a day. And as all of us on the city council know, that you can only operate a business if you've received permission and approval by the city council. We're the granting authority to that. However, in the research that the city clerk did for me, that only occurred from 1989 forward. Prior to that, it was something that was granted either by the planning board or, in this particular case, the zoning board of appeals. And so that's when they got permission, probably going back into the 70s even, whatever store was there beforehand. It just ended up being grandfathered in. One of the issues that continues to come up, because the city council, even though we haven't done it since I've been on the council, has brought in the owners of that store to address some of these ongoing issues, because I've gone in there and I've had other residents gone in there, patrons have gone in there, and it's this trash buildup in terms of lottery tickets and all kinds of stuff, and then it blows out into the street, and all the residents down Osborne Street get it. They get it in their yard. There's this constant trash trail as you walk up Osborne Street, actually, that occurs. On top of that, there's an ongoing issue, since they're 24 hours a day. All of a sudden, all the delivery trucks that come in throughout the day now are going into the evening. So residents are hearing trucks going in there. They're doing loading and unloading at like 2 o'clock in the morning, and residents are complaining that they can't sleep at night. So I think it's time that we brought the owner back in here, and hopefully the committee can address this and he can get some type of commitment and develop some type of plan that we think is going to be suitable, that's going to address some of these issues, because I know they've been ongoing issues, they've been addressed before effectively, and I think it's time for us to do that. I know historically, one of the other things the city clerk had pointed out to me is that at one point when they were approved to go 24 hours a day, the concerns from the neighbors were addressed by the board requiring them to have a police detail at night. That, I know, on a business perhaps that size, especially if it's a private owner, ends up being pretty financially burdensome. And I certainly don't want to see that happen. What I'd rather see is some type of plan that's going to be effective and address these problems, because I don't think these problems are out of control or beyond the control of the owner of the place. So I think that would really kind of take care of matters, because, you know, after everything shuts down on North Street, that's one of the few businesses that still remains open, and sometimes ends up being a magnet for some of these problems. So I'd ask that would go to committee. I sit on that committee, and Councilor Siegel chairs it, so.
I believe that store, 7-Eleven, was open in 79, 80. I distinctly remember going there when, I think former Patriot quarterback Steve Grogan was there for the opening of the store.
Right.
So a long
Were
time
you
ago.
2 years old then?
All right, so on
Thank you.
Councilor Prevy's recommendation, all those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Further motions, orders, and resolutions? None? All right, committee reports. Councilor Sosnowski?
Thank you, Mr. President. City of Salem and City Council, October 10th, 2013. The Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs, to whom was referred the matter of granting certain licenses, has considered said matter and would recommend approval. Tag days: Salem High School girls soccer, Salem High School girls basketball, and American Legion Post 23.
On acceptance report, all those in favor? Opposed? On adoption of the recommendation, under discussion?
No discussion, Mr. President. Pretty straightforward.
All those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Further committee reports. Councilor Sosnowski.
Thank you, Mr. President. City of Salem, excuse me. The City of Salem and City Council, October 10, 2013. The Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs, to whom was referred the matter of a taxi operator hearing for Dane Terry on the denial of his taxi operator license, has considered said matter and would recommend that the matter remain in committee to give the taxi operator one more opportunity to appear before the next committee meeting. Otherwise, his license will continue to be denied.
On acceptance of the report, all those in favor? Opposed? On adoption recommendation, any discussion?
It's straightforward, Mr. President.
Okay. All those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Further committee reports. Councilor Sosnowski.
Thank you, Mr. President. In City of Salem and City Council, October 10, 2013, the Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs, to whom was referred the matter of zoning ordinance amendment relative to medical marijuana, has considered said matter and would recommend that the matter be moved out of committee to the full council with no recommendation.
On acceptance of the report, all those in favor? Opposed? On adoption of recommendation, under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, this one here does require a lot of discussion here because Councilor Siegel actually brought it in, but before I let Councilor Siegel actually discuss this further, we had a meeting on Monday, and we had Attorney William Quinn representing a petitioner. We had Attorney George Atkins representing a petitioner, and they came in and they were telling us about why we should and should not consider this coming into Salem. Toward that end, everybody was listening to all the statements coming in on both sides of the issue. That being said, at this point, I would like to relinquish the floor to Councilor Siegel, because Councilor Siegel had brought in a motion to put a moratorium, and I would actually ask Councilor Siegel to address that, please.
Okay. Councilor Siegel, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I actually did bring in this order. The order was two-part. It was basically to change the zoning, and part of that zoning was also a moratorium. Going over this, looking at the current zoning, my reading of the zoning, a medical marijuana facility could go in a couple different places in the city. It could go to the Lowe's Walmart area, that business park. It could go towards Shetland. It could go towards Jefferson/Canal Street. It could go towards Technology Way. It could go even to the power plant. They could buy a couple acres down there and set up shop there. With that said, I wanted to put another level onto this to make sure we had all the guidelines. Because as I said in the meeting on last week, this could be a great situation for Salem. It could be a terrible situation for Salem. We don't know what's coming down the road. You hear different things from different companies. The one thing I would like to do, and I'd actually like to ask you for suspension of the rules, because I would like to ask Attorney Atkins, or I believe Attorney Grover is standing for Attorney Quinn, but just a couple questions to clarify, because as I was looking through the rules and the guidelines, a couple questions I had to do with the municipal codes. Looking through the business park and the industrial zones, they do allow a medical clinic to come in. The definition of medical clinic, I don't think we have anything written down to describe what that is. I don't know if they're using a state version or a federal version. where this isn't federally recognized, I would assume we'd be used in the state. Also, by using the term medical clinic, that allows it to go to the Zoning Board of Appeals, who would then have to okay it and before it could even pass that. But I also had a question in regards to the medical clinics. Is it an actual medical clinic, or is it just a dispensary? Because if it's just a dispensary and there's no doctor or, in my reading, a registered nurse, that makes it retail. And retail itself is not allowed into a business park by the city ordinance. So I'd like to ask the attorneys if they had researched that. So it's an issue that, it may be something that's been addressed, but if not, and it's not a clear medical clinic and it's just a dispensary, then we would actually have to go through the rules, because right now we do not allow just straight retail into a business park. And that's under, I think, Municipal Code 3.1 on the Salem Municipal Code.
Any objection to suspend the rules to allow the attorneys to speak? Council Prevey?
Thank you, Mr. President. No objection, but I know Councilor Siegel has some questions of Mr. Atkins and Mr. Grover. Maybe we can take this opportunity to have them maybe expound upon the presentation also that they made the other night in front of the committee. I'm not a part of that committee, and I know it was just a committee on ordinances, licenses, and legal affairs, so we kind of missed what it was that they put forward. So maybe once they answer the questions, they can also kind of expound upon the clients that they represent in terms of what the proposal is. Thank you.
Council Prevey, if you want to step to the microphone. Councilor Atkins and Grover.
Gentlemen, with all due respect, I'm probably treading on the area of your city solicitor, who probably has more expertise in this area than I do. But let me just refer to
The name and address for the record, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. George Atkins, 59 Federal Street, Salem, practicing attorney. I represent Alternative Therapies Group, Inc., which is one of the applicants to the Massachusetts Department of Public Health for a dispensary license. Those licenses have not yet been awarded.
I'm Scott Grover. I'm also an attorney. Offices at 27 Congress Street, and I represent Good Chemistry, also an applicant for a license with the Department of Public Health.
Okay, thank you.
The definition in the zoning ordinance for medical clinic includes, specifically says, includes the word clinic dispensary, in quotes, and which suggests the organization is formed for the dispensing of medication. I think that really, this is a dispensary for the dispensing of medication, and that's exactly what is contemplated under the rules and regulations provided by the Department of Public Health. If you haven't had an opportunity, there are 50 pages of regulations that have been issued by the Department of Public Health. Those cover everything from the selection and licensing of the physicians who can grant the scripts, to the licensing of the facilities, to every patient being registered and receiving an identity card. It goes on even more specifically to define how these are operated. A patient can't even get into the front door without being identified through a system run by the Department of Public Health and provides for a computer check of their identification. It provides for specific kinds, extensive security throughout the facility, including cameras. I was asked earlier by one of the counselors whether my particular organization contemplates growing or cultivating the plants in Salem, and the answer is no. But even that is regulated in these very detailed regulations so that each plant that is grown contains an identification. It is a process and a regulation that is so detailed that I think that your local CVS has far fewer controls on its dispensing of medications. I point that out specifically because there is also a section of the regulation which allows for home cultivation. And I think in conversations with the police chief, there's a great concern that if you extend the moratorium out for a period of time, that people will turn to home cultivation as an alternative. And if you think about it, I don't know how many cultivation sites that would mean, but I'm sure the police department would rather deal with one location for the dispensing of this drug than whatever it is, 20, 30, 40, 50, which presents obvious problems. There are very stiff fines under this regulation for violations, particularly for violations which would transfer the drug to a third party or somehow get it into the hands of other than patients. And we're talking, as I think you so eloquently heard by the initial presentation, we're talking about people with debilitating diseases, things like MS, things like Lou Gehrig's disease, cancer, and a list of very debilitating diseases that can be helped with this medication. So I would appeal to you to think about your constituents, and there are many of them in Salem, who need this drug. And putting this off for 6 months doesn't make any sense, because you have, unlike some communities, you have in place a controlling ordinance. Now, I know some of you may have problems with decisions of the zoning board, but this is a board which has to issue a special permit for each location when it's requested. It prohibits these dispensaries in any residential district. It is only allowed in business district, BP district, or an industrial district. And the board in each case will determine each specific case what needs to be addressed by way of special conditions. Everyone will have an opportunity at public hearings in this process, as opposed to one public hearing for a change of your zoning ordinance. Each site will require a public hearing. Each site will be different. Each site may require different kinds of conditions. I think you have an excellent way to deal with this already on record, and that's why we hope you'll defeat the moratorium. Be happy to answer any questions. I'm sure Scott may have something to add.
The only thing I would add to address one concern that I thought Councilor Siegel had expressed is whether this operation that's being proposed here actually fits within the definition of the medical clinic. I've reviewed that definition with my client, and they clearly believe that they are a medical clinic subject to the requirements of getting a special permit before they can operate. So if there's any concern that they may view themselves as a retail operation and not subject to the special permit requirement, I can tell you that's not the case with my client, Good Chemistry. So.
For you, Mr. President.
Council Siegel.
With either company, a question to both companies actually, would you have registered nurses, doctors? I mean, I realize the first part of the procedure is you go to your probably primary doctor or treating physician, they okay it, they send it off to DPH, who then sends the patient a card, who then either goes or has somebody go for them, one of their caretakers, or it can actually be delivered to them. But will somebody at your facility, or either, question goes to both, would somebody be there to actually address, interview, take the information of that patient?
George, do you want to take that?
As I understand the process, and I'm in a learning curve here as well, there is initially for every patient an interview process which extensively deals with their needs and then how this drug will be delivered to them. My client just said there is not a nurse or a doctor on site, and it's not required apparently by the regulations, but there is and will be a registered pharmacist, the same as CVS would have or some other drugstore.
I believe that's also true of Good Chemistry.
Thank you.
Councilor O'Keefe.
Through you, Mr. President. Counselor, a question of either councilors or probably the technical persons that are there. I'm completely naive on all this. Mayor, is it a pill or is it a liquid? And is it come in pills that they would dispense there in a, they don't mix it or put it together up there. They come packaged. Is that, I'm asking.
Could I ask?
Yep.
Could they speak directly about the science? Is it pills, liquid? Could you speak into the microphone so it's on the record?
This is Chris Edwards, CEO.
Identify yourself and.
Yes, there is no pill at this time, Counselor. The medication is basically administered in a bud form, which the patient can take home and consume with a vaporizer device. They can smoke it, although that's not recommended. We also will offer some marijuana-infused products, which are edible products. primarily a tincture, which is basically a liquid. The patient would basically use an eyedropper to consume it and eat it.
So,
Counselor O'Keefe.
can I follow up with a question? Then I have to take 2 calcium pills, and they're like 600, that are enormous pills. Are they that big? Are they small, like lisinopril or things like that, the small ones? You're a scientist, you would know what I'm talking about?
I'm not a scientist, but no, at this time, they're not in pill form, so.
It's not in pill,
It's
okay.
not in pill form at this time, no.
Thank you.
Counselor Sosnowski.
Thank you, Mr. President. There's a couple of other points I wanted to bring up, just in case the public had a concern. Right now, we have 2 petitioners before us, and I understand there's a total of 5, yet these 2 have taken the initiative to come before us. I'd like the general public to know that only one is going to be able to be allowed in Salem. Is that correct? I believe only one is going to be surviving the litmus
I
test.
believe that's the DPH is in the midst of their second round of vetting people, so I believe that's the case. You should also know that there are only, unlike some other states, there are only 35 of these that are allowed statewide, and a maximum of 5 within each county. So they're very limited for control purposes.
What I wanted to do is make sure the general public knows we're not going to be doing this like Dunkin' Donuts, one in each corner. Just want to make sure everybody understood that.
5 per county, the most one town or city would get would be one.
Whatever's the most qualified, I'm assuming, is going to be the one that is the
The Department of Public Health will make that decision as to what city or town the licensee can act in, could dispense in.
Thank you.
Any further discussion, comments?
Do you want to make a motion on this?
Counselor Sosnowski.
Okay, yes, Mr. President. At this point, what I'd like to do then is, I think I have to put this in the form of a motion, or do I let it die? Because what I'd like to do is expedite this matter and get it going forward, because there's no reason why I need to delay this anymore. That being said, the proper course of action is to maybe put it forward for a motion to approve the moratorium in the hope that it would be defeated. Is that the motion that I should put forward?
Committee report, your recommendation was just to get it out of committee.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm taking, okay, this is no longer a committee report. I'm speaking solely as a counselor sitting on the floor, that I would make the motion, a motion that we deny the moratorium. All right, that would make this thing, there'd be no more roadblocks in place and it would go forward? Or do I just not even address that and just let it not be a case? Because, City Clerk, what should I do with this case?
Suspend the rules to allow the city clerk to address the council.
Through you, Mr. President, I mean, I'm trying to expedite this to get it to go forward. And there's a matter that came before the committee. It came out of the committee, we voted, we moved it out of the committee to the full council. I just want to expedite the matter to get it, so that it can go forward. Toward that end, do we need to take a vote on the proposed moratorium that was initially presented in the hopes that maybe a majority of the councilors will say no? And no to the moratorium, which stops all the roadblocks and it goes forward. I'm asking if that's the proper protocol.
All right, hold on. Council McCarthy?
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, obviously, you have final say, but it would be my inclination that where it came out of committee, a 3-2 vote out to the council it came out of committee with a motion to approve the moratorium or move forward with the moratorium, then therefore the vote would have to go forth, and you bring forth the vote, and then in this case, the good Ward 2 councilor who chairs that committee, he's basically telling us that he believes now it should move forward, then he can vote no with everybody else, and then it'll be over. That would be my recommendation, because it came out of committee with a recommendation to bring it to the full council with a vote, and they, out of committee, came forward with a positive recommendation, so you just vote no.
Mr. President, thank you for the advice, but I've talked with city solicitor, and the city solicitor's advice is to put a motion forward to table it indefinitely.
That's what I was going to say. Just keep
And
it
that
on
being
the
said,
table.
I would make that motion that this matter be tabled indefinitely.
If someone else wants to speak first, Council Sergeant, did you want to say something?
I just want to explain quickly that it's difficult to bring forward a negative, because you're voting yes for no and no for yes. You would most likely bring it forward with a positive recommendation, and then you vote yes or no on it, because it gets confusing when you're bringing forward a negative vote. So, thank you.
Council Preview.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to speak on the matter in general. That's going before us. Obviously, not obviously, but I really haven't spoken publicly about this, but I'm certainly opposed to having a moratorium. I think we do have a good opportunity here to move something such as this forward in a very positive fashion. I understand the concerns that went behind trying to get a movement afoot to have a moratorium in place. Many communities throughout the Commonwealth, and some of them being our neighbors, have done so. And I think probably in large part because they themselves did not have something that was in zoning to enact some type of local controls and local accountability. But we do have that in place here in Salem, and I think with that, we should move forward with it. And I think in approaching this issue just in general in terms of medical marijuana, you know, I think we have to make a distinction between the differences between medical marijuana and drug use, and drug abuse. And I think a lot of times with this particular issue, it's hard for people just because of the way our society is to tease that stuff out. And as someone who has been a probation officer for over 21 years, the last 13 of which I've been a substance abuse treatment specialist, I understand a lot about addiction and a lot about drug abuse and everything that goes along with it. And that is completely separate from what's being proposed here. And I think just as a general matter in society, I think as we move forward on this particular issue and as society slowly changes regarding this in the medical use of marijuana, I think our own mentality and our own perspective has to change. I know I did too when this thing was first passed, because as someone who works in the field of law enforcement, you know, my immediate reaction is to say no against this, because I'm just very obviously anti-drugs. I see what drugs do to people. I see how they destroy lives and how they corrupt our society and really fuel crime in many other ways. But again, that's a whole separate issue than what we're dealing with here. And I think the Department of Public Health that has been talked about by Mr. Atkins, Mr. Grover, really got it right when it came to coming up with these guidelines. And I think learning from other states that kind of went through this and kind of fumbled around with it and made some mistakes, that our own Department of Public Health really bore down and came up with some good controls and good guidelines to make sure that the people that need this medicine to improve their quality of life, to provide an effective treatment when all other conventional treatments have failed and really have not worked for people who are suffering on a daily basis. I think this is really the way to go, and I think our Department of Public Health got it right. So the controls are in place. There is a level of accountability. The police chief supports it for obvious reasons, and that's coming from a law enforcement perspective because there is accountability. And without a dispensary in our community, there wouldn't be the level of accountability, and then the police would be chasing down people who do have an ability to cultivate marijuana, and there is an open-ended sense of possibilities of abuse. So this eliminates it, and also, in my view, Mr. President, puts Salem on the forefront of being a leader. When we have other communities that are saying, no, we don't want to deal with this, we don't want this issue in our community, we're going to put a moratorium, we're going to see if we can stop it, we become the leaders then in this case, and showing to the rest of the communities in the Commonwealth that this can work, and it's going to work in our community. And because we're a community that is compassionate, we look out for our folks when they are suffering, and compassion is needed, and that's what we're supposed to do as government. And so this is a good thing, I think, moving forward. I see no drawbacks to it whatsoever. I see really a situation where when a clinic ends up going in Salem, we're going to have hopefully a good neighbor approach where they're going to be good with us and we're going to support them as best we can, because they're trying to help people and trying to help people with some of the most horrific diseases you ever want to go through. Ones of which I hope I never have to experience in my entire life, and I would never wish upon my own worst enemy from some of the stories that I've heard. So with that, I think we really need to kind of embrace this and move it forward, and really kind of open our minds to the entire issue and make sure that we understand there's differences. You know, I'm more concerned about what comes flying off the shelf at CVS and Walgreens, because that's 10 times more dangerous than anything that could possibly come out of a dispensary like this. So, and the guidelines are very clear that there are going to be controls there, so it can be distributed and administered very safely with accountability, both to the local community and obviously throughout the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. So with that, I support the dispensaries, and I certainly oppose doing a moratorium. Thank you.
Councilor Fieri?
Yes, please. I concur also with Councilor Privy. On a professional level, he sees it in his daily profession. I've seen it when I adopted my 3 boys and 2 sons long-term foster care, the results of marijuana or the drug abuse. It's a very shows a very difficult human face that I've seen in my family situation. But I think to revisit the situation, the will of the voters were already incurred. I asked our city clerk Cheryl Lapointe to give each of us a copy of the referendum that was on the ballot and the results of every single ward and precinct on the medical marijuana question. Every single precinct, every single ward, it was carried in. And it was carried in the city of Salem overall 2-1, almost 2-1. So for us to revisit the will of the people, we may have concerns about medical marijuana. I, as a parent, as a professional counsel privy situation, but I think the best process is to continue the process in a clean way that's being done now. To a moratorium would be a mistake. The police department, Chief Tucker says no to the moratorium, and I think it would be a serious mistake on the will of the people. The state of Massachusetts voted for it. Somewhere along the line, if we want to revisit that situation, we have to revisit it. But I think we're in the proper mechanism now, what we're doing now, to allow the process to take place in a professional manner. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Fieri. Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. I don't think anyone can say it any better than what Councilor Prevey said. I think he nailed all the points. But I also want to thank you for coming in and putting a face to this. I mean, obviously, when it's very difficult, and I know that lots of people are touched by people in their lives that have experienced unbelievable suffering and pain due to whatever afflicts them. And obviously, this is a chance to deal with that, because some people really need this. And I think that was clearly stated during the vote in the election, because when you looked at the numbers across the city, widespread support for the idea. Obviously, with that comes the idea that someone's got to take the forefront, and I couldn't agree with more with Councilor Prevey that someone's going to have to take the lead on this. We have a first-class medical center in our community. I think that goes hand in hand that we're going to have a first-class dispensary, and the people who have a face to this, that need this, are going to have the opportunity to get this in. We have a process in place. When we went through this whole thing, when we wrote this legislation with regards to when then a proposed methadone clinic was coming in, we really addressed the whole idea of a dispensary. I think we put a lot of good work into that, and I think that when this is, whoever is the firm that is awarded this, I think they're going to know that they're going to have to do a first-class job, pick a first-class site, and make it work with wherever it is. So I think that's positive. And once again, thank you so much, and I hope your husband and your sister-in-law are able to deal with it and get better.
Councilor Toriel.
Thank you, Mr. President. I concur very strongly with what my colleagues have been saying here thus far with this, and it's very clear at this point that society itself has changed from what it was when most of us were younger, and has realized that there are value in many things that weren't recognized as such once upon a time, and marijuana has very clearly fallen into that, where there are uses for it outside of what the uses that everybody was doing with it back when we were children. And there's good uses, and this can help people that have illnesses. This can help people who are suffering from pain, suffering from loss of appetite. And the businesses that have sprung up to support this, and as the states are recognizing it well ahead of the federal government in this case, they're also doing things that make the product safer for people and make it less psychoactive and more physiologically active. I got quite an education when these proposals came forward in the properties of what they're preparing for sale and preparation versus what somebody would go out on the street and purchase. And this is not stuff that people are buying to go and, and to use the old thing, get baked, watch cartoons and eat snack food. This has the stuff that they sell at these dispensaries has very little of those kind of effects, and I think that's a wonderful thing. It's taking a lot of the abuse potential out of a drug, which is what we should all hope for. And last year, when we sat down in the fall after this had passed at the state level to discuss whether we needed further regulation or further changes to the existing ordinances that we had the hearing with the planning board at that point in time, and when we went through that whole process, the conclusion that the planning board came to was that
with support from our legal department, that the existing laws would handle this just fine. And I think this process will play out well. I think we'll be able to, if we wind up with one of these applicants being approved to come to Salem, I think it'll be able to be located effectively, secured properly, and be able to just serve the patients that they need to serve without the abuse potential you might see at, for other kinds of facilities, or even some regular pharmacies and things that are sold there. So I would recommend here, based on this, that unless there's a clear reason to otherwise, I would recommend that we not simply table this, but that we just, we bring it forward so that we can vote to defeat it and just get it done with.
Before I call you, is there any council hasn't spoken that wants to speak?
Well, Mr. Chairman, I spoke before, but nobody else speak. I'd like to speak again.
Okay, I guess so. Councilor,
I yield to
Councilor Sosnowski had his hand up.
In consultation here, Councilor Chorio was right. If we table it indefinitely, someone can bring it back. I think we need to kill it here and now so that we end this conversation and can go forward. So I would withdraw my motion to table it, and I would add the motion that we vote on the moratorium. I want to make it perfectly clear that a yes vote would delay this. A no vote would end it, and it's over, and it can go forward. So does everybody understand what the voting would be?
Yes.
So the motion would be, Mr. President, that we approve the moratorium. And again, a yes vote will delay the whole matter. A no vote will stop it, it's over, and we can go forward.
Councilor O'Keefe, then
Through you,
Councilor
Mr. President. Question then. I was one of those negative votes the other night at the committee level with Councilor Turriel. Could you ask the city solicitor if it's clear in her mind, advising the city clerk tomorrow what we do tonight?
We just did. We just did.
She did? She?
You'd be moving, if you wanted to go forward with moratorium, you'd be moving to schedule a joint public hearing, correct? So the vote would be to move to schedule a joint public hearing on the moratorium in the hopes it'd be defeated.
Thank you, ma'am. And I want to praise Councilor Prevey for the eloquent delivery he gave on this particular matter. I appreciate his candor on it all, and his recommendation.
Councilor Siegel.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to clarify, and I think the city solicitor just did, it didn't come out of committee with a moratorium. It came out as, it came out, but the idea in there was the next step would be a joint public hearing, not a moratorium. It was just a joint public hearing. So I believe tonight, if we vote not to have a joint public hearing, that kills it. It's not to have a moratorium or not. I believe it was originally.
What went to the thing was the zoning amendment for medical marijuana treatment center. That got sent to committee. It
Correct.
came out with no recommendation.
Correct.
So what we would normally do would schedule a joint hearing, but if we all say, vote on that, no, we're gonna kill it.
Right, that's what I was getting at. It wasn't a moratorium or not, because we came
Yeah,
out,
it's not.
we didn't put that language in there.
Councilor Legault.
Thank you, Mr. President. I did, along with Councilor O'Keefe, vote at the committee meeting the other night not to bring this to the council. It came up with a 3-2 vote. I didn't want to bring it to the council because I really didn't think that it was going to have the support, and I think it had already been discussed and deliberated, not only by members of the council, but by the voters a couple of years ago. So I would support that we just put this out here now, bring it to a vote, up or down.
We should do roll call.
Move the question, Mr. President.
Three hands.
Recall.
So the question is going to be to schedule a joint hearing on the zoning amendment for medical marijuana treatment center. A yes would be that we want to go ahead with it. A no would be that you don't want to and you want to kill it. So Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Turriel?
No.
Councilor Sosnowski? Councilor Siegel?
No.
Councilor Sargent?
No.
Councilor Prevey?
No.
Councilor McCarthy?
No.
Councilor Legault?
No.
Councilor O'Keefe?
No.
Councilor Fiore?
No.
Councilor Carr?
No.
Councilor Ryan?
No. Thank you. Upon the question of the scheduling a joint public hearing, 11 councilors voting, 11 in the negative. The matter is defeated. Councilor O'Keefe?
Well, I really don't think you need a motion for reconsideration because nobody voted against it. But if you want it, I'll ask for
well.
reconsideration. Yes.
Yeah,
Move for
let's-
reconsideration.
Move for reconsideration. All those in favor? Opposed?
Opposed.
Okay. Further committee reports.
Listen, the rules say you have to, you've got to have a negative.
Council Prevey?
Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. City of Salem, the City Council, October 10th, 2013. The Committee on Administration and Finance co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, to whom was referred the matter of an appropriation in the amount of $11,504.87 from capital outlay for painting the Fort Pickering Lighthouse at Winter Island, has considered said matter and would recommend approval.
On acceptance of report, all those in favor? Opposed? On adoption recommendation, on discussion?
Thank you, Mr. President. We had a committee meeting this evening, Mr. President, on the appropriation for this amount. We had Karen Partonen, who is the Park and Recreation Director, and we have the Finance Director as well here, to basically kind of talk about the project. The concern when it first went into committee was the amount of money, and actually, come to find out, we're actually getting a deal on it just because of the specific type of work that they have to do on it tends to be expensive. I think one of the quotes that we had got in, it was close to $100,000, the Finance Director said. So the hope is that in going forward, this project will get done very quickly, and that it will last a long time, and then obviously the lighthouse will be restored, and it'll just be another added feature and added beauty to Winter Island. So I would certainly urge I know it's in Councilor McCarthy's ward, so I don't know if he wants to speak on it, but I think it's a good thing. I know it's something that has been neglected for quite some time, and there's been talk over the years of trying to get this done, and so finally now we're able to do that. So I'd urge adoption.
Thank you, Council Prevey. Council McCarthy?
I echo that. I mean, obviously, anybody who's spent any time down in Winter Island has looked out there that the lighthouse is, you know, in terrible need of a paint job, and I want to commend the Park and Rec Department and the finance team for finding the grant and the extra money to do this. Obviously, it's a big undertaking, and it's well overdue, and we're going to work. I mean, one thing that's not being addressed is the foundation. It's basically the paint job. I'm going to work with the Park and Rec Director to look at that as well, because obviously the foundation that the lighthouse sits on needs to be addressed as well. But this is a good first step, and it's well needed, and it's appropriate for everyone to approve it. I think it makes sense, and I'll echo to what I said the last meeting. I was at a cross-country meet, and I was sitting there waiting for the runners to come by with my mother, and my mother said, "Who's going to paint the lighthouse?" And I'm like, "Yeah, we'll have to take care of that, Ma." So we're going to take care of it. So for everybody who goes down there and enjoys it, enjoys looking out the water, I know there's a whole bunch of people that go down first thing in the morning for a cup of coffee, and that's the first thing they look at. So I think it's great. So I would urge everyone to approve.
I look at that lighthouse every morning. 10 years ago, we had our wedding pictures taken, and they had that in the background. I've seen so many people have their wedding pictures. Wish they did 10 years ago, but I don't think it was as bad a shape as it is now. But any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Further committee reports. Councilor O'Keefe, can you take the chair?
I recognize Councilor Ward for Jerry Lincoln Ryan. Councilor Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. President. City Council, October 10th, 2013. The Committee of the Whole, to whom was referred the matter of the restoration of the arch at Salem Common, has considered said matter and would recommend endorsing the actions of the volunteer group, the Boy Scouts and the veterans, with approval of the building inspector.
All in favor of acceptance of the report of the committee? Remarks, Councilor?
We had a meeting and we had 6 councilors. We had enough. The Boy Scouts were here. There was probably about like 24 of them. We had some of the veterans organizations, and Councilor Sosnowski brought this in. This is actually in his ward, in the Common, the arch. And the Boy Scouts volunteered to make it a project to restore the arch. And they have one of their members is Mr. Mark Mesh, who's an architect, is helping them out. But I want to give the floor to Councilor Sosnowski if he has to say anything about the meeting.
Councilor Sosnowski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, this is, talk about a community where everybody comes together for the common good. We had the Boy Scouts come in here, and members of the Boy Scouts, one of their fathers is Mark Mesh from Winter Street Architects, world-renowned architectural firm. He has offered to look at the entire site without getting into the long meetings and many things that happen during all these meetings. The bottom line is, he has come up with an absolute list of steps to be taken to get the job done. It is not going to be replacing it. It's not going to be breaking it back to the full size. It's going to be just restoring what is there at the moment. Historically, there's some of the things that are in question, but there's still some wonderful pieces there. We want to bring it back so it doesn't look like an eyesore in the corner. The Salem Common Neighborhood Association has stepped to the plate. The Veterans Council was stepped up to the plate. The Boy Scouts actually are doing a fundraiser where they're going to donate part of their fundraising of the wreath sales this Christmas, where some of that money will go toward the arch restoration, and some of it will go to them as well. So, I mean, I hope everybody at home is listening. You know, buy a wreath from Troop 24 Boy Scouts. That's the message, okay? Because they're trying to do, they do good for themselves, and it's, number one, you know that I endorse Boy Scouts wholeheartedly. That being said, it goes from there, and I don't know what else to say that Mr. Ryan hasn't already said, all right? Because it's a great thing, it needs to be done, let's get it going.
Any further remarks on this matter? All in favor of adopting the recommendation of the committee? Opposed? So voted. Unanimous.
What are you supposed to say about it?
Further committee reports? None. Communications from city officials.
City clerk submitting election warrant for November 5th, 2013 city election.
Councilor O'Keefe.
Thank you, Mr. President. Member of the City Council. The City Council, October 10, 2013, ordered that the meetings of the qualified voters of the City of Salem be held in the several voting precincts in the city at the polling places designated hereafter on Tuesday, November 5th, 2013, for the purpose of casting votes in the city election for election of candidates for the following offices: mayor for a term of 4 years, 4 councilors at large for the term of 2 years, councilors of wards 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 for the term of 2 years, 3 members of the school committee for the term of 4 years. Be it further ordered that the following places be and hereby are designated as polling places for said meetings.
Waive the reading?
Please read them.
Yeah, please read them.
One of my colleagues has moved for the waiving of the reading of the rest of the precincts.
That's what, you can read them, that's
I'll
fine.
keep going if they
Can
come.
read them, yeah.
Ward 1, Precinct 1 and Precinct 2, Bentley School, Memorial Drive. Ward 2, Precinct 1, Precinct 2, St. John's School, St. Peter Street. Ward 3, Precincts 1 and 2, Salem High Auditorium, 77 Wilson Street. Ward 4, Precincts 1 and 2, Witchcraft Heights School Gymnasium, 1 Frederick Street. Ward 5, Precinct 1, Temple Shalom, 287 Lafayette Street. Precinct 2, Community Room, Pioneer Terrace. Ward 6, Precinct 1, Bates School, Liberty Hill Avenue. Precinct 2, Recreation Department, Mac Park. Ward 7, Precinct 1 and 2, Salem State University Enterprise Center, 121 Loring Avenue. Be it further ordered that the polls at said meetings be opened at 7 a.m. and closed at 8 p.m., and that the city clerk be instructed to post a notice as required by law. Thank you.
Hold on.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Petitions.
We have petition from the Teleport Communications America LLC to install conduits on Gedney Street and Holyoke Square.
Hearing ordered October 24th, 2013. Further petitions.
We request from the Boys and Girls Club to hold a road race in use of city streets on November 28th, 2013.
Council McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the application be granted.
Discussion.
Briefly on discussion, Doug Boland, the former Park and Rec Director, has moved over to the Boys and Girls Club, and this has been an annual event that used to be, in part, mostly by the Park and Rec Department through Doug, and since Doug's moved over, it's a combination between Boys and Girls Club and the Park and Rec helps out as well, but I think the Boys and Girls Club's taken the forefront on this now since Doug's moved over there. It's a wonderful event. This will be the first time since its inception that I might have to leave my home early because my son, being one of the band, leaders of the band, so to speak,
It's up to him to figure out.
drum major, is going to be warming up before the game, hopefully on the new Bertram Field. That I'm going up for a little meeting tomorrow about that and some stuff up there, so hopefully that will be resolved for Thanksgiving Day. But the typical fanfare that goes by my house with music and the tambourines and balloons and everything else that we try to do to encourage the runners on Thanksgiving morning might be cut a little short this year because of other commitments to my son, but it's a wonderful event. It raises a lot of money for a lot of good work. As you can see in this one, I wholeheartedly support races like this where 100% of all the proceeds after expenses go to the charity, in this case the Boys and Girls Club, so I would urge my colleagues to approve.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Further petitions.
We have a communication from Rosemary Squires, owner of Tiffin Wicket, for a name change on her secondhand clothing and secondhand valuable license to Queen of Hearts.
Council Sosnowski.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move this matter be received and placed on file.
All those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Further petitions.
We have a list of license applications for public guides, taxi cab, taxi operators, and vehicle for hire operators only.
Council Sosnowski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move that they all be granted.
All those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Further petitions.
We have a license for a junk dealer.
Council Sosnowski.
I move this matter be referred to the Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs.
All those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Further petitions.
We have two claims, James Lewis and Barbara Briggs.
Council Sosnowski.
Move these matters also be referred to the Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs.
All those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Further petitions.
We have a drain layer bond and a sign bond.
Council Sosnowski.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move these matters be referred to the Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs and returned approved.
Okay. All those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Unfinished business.
We have second passage of an ordinance amending traffic chapter 42, section 50B, handicap parking, limited time, Lind Street.
Councilor Sosnowski.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move this matter be adopted for second and final passage.
All those in
No
favor?
discussion.
All those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Further unfinished business.
We have second passage of an ordinance amending traffic chapter 42, section 45, heavy commercial vehicles prohibited, First Street, deliveries only.
Council Siegel.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move for adoption for second and final passage. No discussion.
All those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Just a point of personal privilege. I don't know if you did it at the beginning of the meeting. I was at a wake earlier for John Galeris, who was the athletic director of Salem State, who was also on the Park and Recreation Commissioner. And if we want to do a moment of silence for him and his family for the passing. Thank you.
Move for adjournment.
Councilor O'Keefe moves for adjournment. All those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Meeting adjourned.
Hey, Cheryl.